Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. This is Molly McCord. Today is July 15th, 2019. You might be listening to this show live, or you might be listening to it months later. Either way, I hope that you gain some valuable insights and information about what is unfolding for each of us as we move through some really big times in our lives. It is significant energies coming through, and it's a time of very deep change. So I'm going to share with you some of the guidance and insights I've been receiving about what is happening right now. And if you are new to the podcast, welcome. I hope that this information resonates and supports you. I am an intuitive astrologer. I've been studying astrology for 30 years now. I started in my teens. I'm now in my 40s. And I love it. It's been awesome to see how astrology has become much more mainstream, how it is something that more people are aware of, they're curious about, but because it benefits them. And that's what I think is really cool about astrology, is that it's something that the more you learn about, it's a self-verifying experience. You understand the cycles, the themes, the energies. Things start to connect, and you see how astrology is this amazing tool for understanding what is unfolding in your life, as well as your choices and your consciousness. So there's a lot of good things here, and I hope that this podcast connects you with some insights about yourself and your journey. And if you have been listening to this show for a while, thank you for continuing to listen. This podcast has been going strong for 7 years now. And keep in mind that there is a whole library of free videos, free videos on YouTube and free podcast episodes on Blog Talk Radio, over 450 now. So if you are listening for more information to understand yourself, just one more resource to point out to you. So in this episode, this is the Monday episode, and I typically cover a healing theme, something to help you understand what might be going on in your world, what you're meant to know about yourself, just even a way to know that it's not personal, it's not just you. There's bigger things unfolding, and it could help understand what is showing up in your world. Now, this is a big time. July 2019, we have big eclipses happening, and eclipses are always about change, deep change, permanent change, evolution, the next level, where you're meant to go to next. But, of course, the other side of that coin is that there are endings. There are things that are completing, that are letting go, and it's an intense time of endings right now. And this could be something that you're aware of. This is something that maybe you've been dealing with for a while. These energies can be slow moving because they are in Capricorn. So currently we have the South Node, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn traveling together pretty much and really working their way through what is over for us. At this time, all three are in retrograde. The South Node always is in retrograde. But Saturn and Pluto in retrograde are always about that review. And it means that it can be harder to move forward, that what we want to move forward isn't ready, it's not time. And if you can understand that you're not meant to force the river, you can't make it happen, that there's a bigger picture here that can help alleviate some of our human ego, where we want to make it happen, we want to change things, but all you can change at times is your perception. You can work on your feelings. You can work on your inner world. You can come back to the parts of yourself that are really being called to something new right now. And you can continue to trust that everything is exactly as it needs to be right now. Again, this is outside of our human ego. Sometimes it's outside of, our desires and what we want. But it's understanding that the stories that are ending right now are significant because they're energies we've been working with and working through for multiple lifetimes. It's the themes, the energies, the cycles, the same cast of characters who show up in different forms, in different roles. It's a really big time of endings. Some of you might even say it's been brutal because it's the ending of what you built. It's the ending of something that you achieved. It's the ending of a responsibility, of a mastery, of what you were known for. These are all Capricorn themes. And it's saying that right now, the endings are actually right on time because what you established or built, what you put all this time, energy, resources, money, effort into was only one part of you. It wasn't all of you. It wasn't everything that you're about. And so maybe you had a specialty. Maybe you had something that you were drawn to. Maybe you went to school for something, or you really enjoyed something and you're like, I can make money doing this. And then you built it up and you developed it and you grew it. And there was something that you enjoyed about that, and it became a part of your self-identity, perhaps. But it actually took you away from a part of your heart or your soul or the part of you that you have yet to discover. And so there's endings right now that are really significant. They're related to karmic cycles. They're related to soul lessons. They're related to very deep areas of healing, and that's why it's been brutal. Perhaps you've seen where there has been codependence or something that has been a deep emotional trigger that you've been trying to cover up and not go into it, but now you're required to heal it. And maybe you've done your best to not look at it, but it's not going away. This is something that you have the ability to choose to heal it right now. Everything's a choice. Everything's free will. You are a sovereign being. No one has to make you do anything, right? You don't have to eat your broccoli. You don't have to eat your peas. But there's something here where God, Source, Spirit, the universe is like putting your nose to the grindstone about something. It's like, look at this. Look at this pattern. Look at these choices. Look at where this has led you. And I feel like so much of right now is reminding you that you're more than just this one thing. You're more than what you thought you were. You're more than this description, this responsibility, this part of your life. There's an opening here, but it can feel painful because there's a lot of loss too. Now, for some people, the loss isn't in the career or profession or external world, but there's something within you that's changing permanently. There's something within your inner world that has shifted, where you've understood how you've showed up in the world, and maybe others don't know what you're going through. It's very private, it's very intense, but again, it's that inner ending at a very deep level of essentially you're going up to a higher level of consciousness about yourself. And over the past number of weeks, I've talked about the Pac-Man example that a number of you have resonated with, about how you felt that you were a prisoner in a situation and that you didn't know how you got here, or you don't know how to get out, and you feel trapped and you feel stuck and you feel like maybe you're losing everything, or you've lost everything, or you've put all this time and energy and years into something and now it's all leaving. And so there's that mental cage or feeling of entrapment, but you understand at a deeper level, at a soul level, and this is a spiritual level, which is the Neptune and Pisces. Neptune and Pisces, that is sextiling Saturn and sextiling Pluto and sextiling the South Node in Capricorn, this Neptune in Pisces is giving you a bigger reason. It's giving you the spiritual understanding, the spiritual healing, the bigger purpose of what you didn't recognize previously. You feel it now. You see it now. And it's related to the feeling energies as Neptune trines the North Node, just trined the Sun, and will trine Venus, all in Cancer. This is an opening into your heart and into what you really love about yourself. It's like the energy shift. There's a paradigm shift here where what you thought you were doing for other people only got you so far. It really wasn't everything you thought it would be. So it's coming back into the place where you could have shut down. It's like you could have shut down as a little girl, as a little boy, something that you love. And this could have been a part of your own needs, a part of your own energy field, something from your family, something from your mother, something from your father. You shut it down because you didn't think it would be loved. And you didn't think it would be accepted. And this was at a younger state of consciousness, by the way. This was not something like you were aware that you were shutting it down. But now there's this blast of energy coming through from the divine, from God, from Source, Spirit, the angels, the universe, whatever you call it. There's this blast of energy. Open up. Go here. Go to those places that you shut down that need the love within you. And it's something that's meant to bloom, but I feel it as a regeneration. Something that is being regenerated within you where it looks different now, it feels different now because you're different now, but it's always been there because it's an innate part of you. And so there's something very beautiful about this time, my friend, where, there could be a lot of things leaving in the real world, the physical world, your professional world, your career goals. Remember, this could be internal where other people don't know. I mean, you could be, some of you, you're showing up to work every day and you're doing the same thing, but you know that within you, it's not what you want anymore. Your career goals are changing. What you're here to do in the world is shifting. For many of you, what's really happening is that you're opening up to your soul mission, to your soul's work in the world, but you can't fully open up to that until you go back to those places in yourself that you shut down. You have to take that with you because it's such a vital part of yourself. It's like the preciousness of you. And that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling it as like a precious crystal rose. It's something that you are meant to connect with. It's for nobody else. It's nobody else's business. It's for you to love and cherish and accept in yourself. And that's what's happening right now because the next thing that you move towards, that you build, that you grow, that you put energy towards, that you develop is going to include this beautiful, precious crystal rose. And it feels so pure. I mean, it has this energy of the essence of you or the essence of your gifts, the essence of what makes you happy. And there's also something here with Neptune in Pisces. Jupiter in Sag is squaring Neptune in Pisces. So Jupiter in Sag is looking at your belief systems, and if you believe that you're capable of really loving and accepting all of yourself without requirement, without judgment, without the shoulds. And there's an energy here of looking at, again, the deeper belief systems that you had to be a certain way in the world, that you had to do something or follow a path or go down a certain direction. And you're meant to look at rearranging, upgrading the belief systems so that you know that all of you, everything that you want, everything that you are, everything that you feel is loved, respected, and cherished by yourself and by God, Source, Spirit, the universe. Okay? There's this realignment happening. And everything that's falling away, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's simple. I'm not even saying, some of you don't even want it to go. But the reason why it's leaving is because it is a very old energy that no longer represents who you are, what you're about, and what you're going to be doing next. And it's only in hindsight that we can see this. It's sort of like when you're in the middle of something, it can be, you're just in it. You're just in it. And it can be day to day, hour to hour, really hard. But I feel like, of course there's a divine reason. Of course there are blessings here. Of course there's good things to come. But this Capricorn energy keeps us focused on what we have to take care of, the responsibilities, the bills, the legal battles, the contracts, the areas of responsibility that we can't get out of, what we have to do. And it's strong for everybody right now. It means different things at different levels of consciousness. And it's personal. There's something very personal because as I'm doing this show, we have the energy increasing for the Capricorn partial lunar eclipse, the moon conjunct Pluto opposing the sun at 24 degrees. And whenever the moon is involved with Pluto, extra intense, extra emotional. There's more happening within us than we can even be aware of at the time. It's something shifting at a very personal level. And what I've been, it's interesting. I'm going to share with you what I've been getting over the past few days. It's something at a DNA level. Now, there is something called junk DNA within us. And basically that junk DNA is the DNA that hasn't been figured out. Scientists don't know what it is, don't know what it's about. And so it's kind of been, all filed together as junk DNA. Well, now I am not a geneticist. I am not a medical person. This is just intuitively what I'm getting is that a lot of that junk quote-unquote DNA is a part of our soul purpose, soul mission that hasn't been activated yet. It hasn't come alive. It's sort of like we've had to deal with the things that have been in our programming. And so you look at all the DNA strands and bits and letters and codes, and it's sort of like we have different areas of us that are stronger because they're looking to be karmically resolved, like they're looking to be expressed. And then I feel like there's some energy changeover that parts of us are shifted and neutralized, like they become more dormant. And then new areas of our DNA become active because now there's energy to put towards those areas of ourselves that were previously dormant. So what has been alive in us, what has been pulsing through us and, keeping us going has been one type of energy. And then it feels like when those are resolved, when we get to a neutral point of, okay, I ended this, I took care of this, I understood what this was about, I've done my work, I've changed my belief systems, I've worked on my emotional self, I've worked on my mental self. When we work with ourselves on those deeper levels, those parts of us become neutralized, and then there's more areas of us that start to wake up, that literally wake up, and it shifts and changes who we are, and it changes how we believe in ourselves. It changes our belief systems. It changes our mental process. It changes our emotional patterns. It changes your body. It changes, the kinds of foods you eat or what you digest. It's sort of like there's something that comes alive within us that's always been there. And it comes alive when we've done certain work and we've made certain choices and we've literally awakened to more of our power. And this time period in July 2019 is a huge activation of choices and power, and these energies last into 2020. And in 2020, there is more activations, there is more awakenings, because Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn conjunct. They are both direct. They are both big players in what we're building next. And we are moving through a big process. By big, I mean energetically big, of changing what we're called to do in the world. And that's why these things are ending and why they're moving away, because it's like God, Source Spirit, is saying, okay, guess what? Time's up. I need you over here now. You're done with that. I need to just cut you loose. I need you to complete what you're writing on your paper. If you ever watch those cooking shows, when the time's up, they say, okay, hands up. You can't touch anything anymore. This is it. And it's sort of like hands up. You've got to go to another assignment. You're needed elsewhere. You're needed in another place. And the endings can be very messy. They can be very jagged and feel unfinished. I wouldn't, how do I say that? I don't want to, I was going to say I wouldn't worry, but I feel like that something about that sounds disrespectful. What I mean is that if you feel called to move forward, trust that feeling, trust that inspiration and that motivation, because it could be that if you leave a messy kitchen, you leave a messy countertop, you leave things out, I feel like if you're really called to go to the next thing, then the messy kitchen, other people will clean it up. I mean that in a way that is supportive. It's sort of like there's a rotation here. There's a rotation going on of now there's going to be new people maybe coming into the kitchen that you just left, and they'll clean up whatever is left behind, and it'll happen quickly for them. It's sort of like you're not meant to focus on what's ending. And, yeah, that can be tricky at times. And, again, it can be hard and painful. There's a next chapter, and the next chapter is in a new book. And that's also why this is interesting, because it feels like for some of you, you're ending this book of your life with all these chapters, and it can feel like there's a cliffhanger. Like you're ending the book on a cliffhanger, but that means it will work itself out in the next book. So I guess I just want to validate that these energies are choppy. They can feel abrupt. They can feel slow. They can feel difficult. And they're working with each of us differently, but it's because we're all being rearranged. We're all being asked to move into that next calling, and there's something divine in that. There's something absolutely perfect, because that is how the divine works, and we don't always see it in the moment. We see it in hindsight. So what you can do in a practical sense is bless the endings. And you can follow whatever feels right for you. It's very important to end with gratitude for what you learned. And if you can just focus on what you've learned, because I feel like some people are really emotional and not quite at that place of gratitude. But where do you feel grateful for what you've learned? And if you're not there, you can say, I'm willing. I'm willing to feel grateful. I'm willing to open up to the next steps. I'm willing to be grateful for what I learned and what I meant to see. Focusing on the blessings, on the gratitude of what you learned in this book of your life, and maybe you're not at a place of forgiveness or of acceptance yet, but you will be. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about, the 5 stages of grief. Grief is very real, and you could be moving through a grieving process that is to be honored. It's to be honored. It's to be respected. It's part of our experience as human beings to go through a grieving process. But there's also strong support here for your movement forward. And, there's something about these Capricorn energies that are basically saying chin up, shoulders down, shoulders back, spine straight, own it. Own it. Own your life. Own your choices. Own it. Own your energy. Right? That sense of strength in self is important. And then the Cancer energies are saying be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. The Cancer energies are soft. They're soft. And the Capricorn energies are the strength. So there is this balance of knowing where to be strong in yourself, but also soft with yourself. Okay? So navigate this time with both of those as a strength. Both as a strength. Now, a lot of soul contracts are ending. These could be soul contracts with other people, whether that is relationships, family members, friendships. It can also be soul contracts with spirit. It can be contracts with yourself. And I kept getting this image that made me laugh, but it was an image of a boxing ring. And a boxing ring, as in you've been in some type of battle or duking it out with people or with another person, with many people. It could be that you've been duking it out with something within yourself. Okay? And so this boxing ring is the energy or the play field of where this energy has thrived. And I feel it as very much about a place where a part of you thought you had to fight for survival. So this is root chakra energy. This is Mars energy. This could be Aries energy. It can be Scorpio energy. It can be multiple layers of energies. It's where you had to fight for survival. You had to fight for something. And there was this boxing ring that you're meant to leave. Okay? And in this boxing ring can be a lot of karma, a lot of unresolved karma, a lot of stuff that you've been carrying for lifetimes that somewhere in your psyche, somewhere in your DNA, you're like, well, I have to fight for this because it's mine. I have to fight to keep it. I have to fight for this belief, or it's a very strong warrior. But it's excessive, because part of what I've been seeing is that actually, maybe for some of you, you've made this boxing ring your home, or it's the only home you've known, right? Like you've just, maybe since birth, or in a certain environment or a certain situation, certain relationship, there was a lot, very contentious, very karmic, and it didn't start out that way. It's sort of like it started out as something totally different, and then it moved into this boxing ring. It moved into this environment that has felt very, angry, and I'm not judging that, because I think it's very normal. But what I'm feeling about it is that you didn't feel it was okay to leave. Because if you left, it meant you were weak. It meant you were giving up. It meant you were a wimp. It meant all these negative things. What you're supposed to do right now, should this resonate with you, is to look at how leaving this boxing ring has worn you out, has exhausted you, depleted you. It hasn't brought anything fruitful. It's been, in fact, a huge drain, maybe on time, on energy, on resources. There's supposed to be a paradigm shift here where staying in any situation like this is no longer where you feel strong. And in fact, it's leaving the boxing ring that feels really, really strong. Okay? Whereas before it felt strong to stay, now it feels strong to go. And there's this energy shift, because what is happening is it's like I've been getting the image of this boxing ring getting a jolt of lightning, like an electrical strike, and something just hits you from above that jolts you into a new understanding of what's been going on, of who you are, of what you want, of what life is about the importance of time, about the significance of letting something go. And so then I felt like I got the image of somebody like walking away from the boxing ring, and then whoever they were in the boxing ring with is like, the word's escaping me right now. They're like wanting you to come back in, right? They're like egging you on, and they're trying to hit at your sore spots. They're trying to strike you in the heart. They're trying to like maybe pull you by the ankle. They want the fighting to continue. They want you to stay in the boxing ring. And I just feel like some of you understand so much more right now than you ever thought you could. And it's like that person could be badgering you, yelling at you, doing anything they can to get you back into the ring, but you don't hear anything. It's like they're on mute, right? They're on mute. Steam's coming out of their ears, and you know that they're yelling, but you don't hear anything. They're just mute, because they're no longer getting to you. They're no longer triggering you. They don't even have access to your heart or to hurting you anymore. And so I'm getting the image now of like a gladiator, and there's those, what is that, like that the warriors wear, the gladiator's breastplate or whatever, that's really, like it's all that protection that a knife or a sword can't hit their internal organs. So can't hit the heart, can't hit the stomach, can't hit the kidney, can't even stab them in the back anymore. It's like things have just shifted. And it's the walking away where you feel so strong. Again, before, you would have got right back in that ring. And it was like, Hold my beer. I'm going back in. No, now you're like, oh, no way. This is ridiculous. I'm exhausted, and you're just done. That is the lesson. That is what is happening here at a soul level, is that you have taken these huge strides away from something that you thought was so important to your survival, to your sense of identity, to who you are, and you have mastered something. And you've healed deeply, because there was a part of you that wanted to fight, that wanted to stand your ground, that wanted to duke it out, that wasn't going to let anybody tell you anything about anything. It's like all of that is shifted to a higher place of consciousness, and it just feels really strong. And over the next number of months and throughout 2020, you are going to keep getting stronger, and you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested because you're walking with a new sense of self, and you're walking with a new level of self-love and self-acceptance, and this goes back to those parts of yourself that you shut down when you were younger, the parts of yourself that you thought were not lovable or not accepted. Now you're totally in boss mode, and you're like, I am fully owning all of this. And I just feel a freedom, okay? There's a freedom coming. And that freedom has been a really big lesson for some of you, a freedom away from who you thought you were, what you thought you had to do, who you thought you had to take care of. And there's this independence that's coming, but there's a new energetic sense of what's possible in your life. And that's going to be building in 2020 and beyond. So I feel like this is helping you see what it's all been about. Chin up, shoulders back, straight spine, own it. Own it, the healing, the responsibility, the choices, whatever you thought led you somewhere. There's more. There's more coming, but this is the point of mastery. This is a point of mastery. And the mastery is over self. It always is. It always is. And what triggered you before? Nope, it's on mute. You know how sometimes you walk down the street and there's the yappy dogs? I love dogs. No disrespect to dogs, but some of them are really yappy, you know, and they're just, you're like, I don't want to walk by that house. They're all on mute. They're all on mute. What happens to your energy when they're all on mute? You hear yourself. It's like there's different stimuli that catches your attention. Go there. Go to this place. Go to these new places that are coming up in you. Again, this is a regenerative cycle. Things are being regenerated. And I'm just feeling it at that DNA level that things get neutralized. And then new parts of you come alive. And that's what makes all this worth it. Yes, there will be tests, meaning you will be tested in your new place of mastery, of your new decisions, your new reactions, your new consciousness. It's interesting because I'm feeling, or rather I'm seeing this gladiator who's been in the war. I mean, brutal. I mean, exhaustion, bloody, difficult, emotional, intense, you name it. And I'm getting the image of like the Roman Empire and how, only some men came back from the wars, right? Many soldiers died. And there was exhaustion, like can't even walk, can't even, like I'll just crash here on the grassy field and just call it a day because I can't go any further. They're starving, they're thirsty, they're sunburnt. It's the worst of everything. But something is shifting here where the war is over. The battle is over. And there's something ending, and then it's like taking that time, that break, and it's becoming a new warrior, a new soldier, a new version of self. So take that analogy or that metaphor and apply it as you wish. But the idea is that there's been really intense things happening and they're ending. And so give yourself downtime. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to do anything right away. Again, this comes back to those Cancer energies of self-care and being gentle with yourself, being soft with yourself, laying on the couch for 18 weeks, whatever it is. But then there's a strength that returns, and I'm feeling it as that energy of a new maturity, a new strength, a storyteller, right? Anytime you've lived through something, you're like, well, I've got a story to tell you. There's a lot there. But I feel like right now it's understanding that what is ending, what is over, what is moving through is right on time. And you have the strength to keep going. You will keep going. And on the other side of it, you will feel new. You will have that regeneration that could be hard to understand right now when you're in it, but it's coming because this is a very regenerative cycle. And again, you have to honor the cycle. You have to honor the process. Our minds and our egos want to jump ahead, want to jump to the next thing that feels good, want to jump to the next victory, want to jump to the next level. But there's a process right here that's very feminine that's meant to be honored. And it's in the honoring of it that allows for even more benefits to come. It really does. It really does. So, trust and faith are not easy, or else everybody would do it. But this is where you're really being called to have trust and faith in the process and in yourself more than ever. As you walk away, as you mute what used to trigger you, what used to get to you, and you know that you've done a lot here at a very deep soul level. I mean, lifetimes of work. Lifetimes. That's a lot of energy to move through. So I hope this has helped understand that a process is underway, and there's a lot of lessons that are ending, a lot of healing that's underway. Chin up. Straight spine. Own it, own it, own it. Because that's owning your power. Okay. I hope this has helped some of you and that it's been what you needed to hear about this very big time. I'll be back on Wednesday to talk about the more specific astrological energies as we make our way through July 2019. Please know that if you listen on YouTube, I have a lot of videos in my YouTube playlists that might interest you, including rising signs, midheavens, significant astrology transits in your life, a lot of good stuff there. And you can also find out more about me below this podcast episode, below this video, and I hope that any of my other offerings support you too. Thanks for joining me. You've got this. Good things are happening now. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep going. And I'll see you back here on Wednesday. Take good care. Bye-bye.